Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Coffee Time. I am your host, Byron. Alongside me is former major leaguer Kip Gross. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I hope I ain't butchering your name.
No, you did good. Most of the time, after I say my last name, I always say Oso Gross.
So how are you? And thank you again for doing this. I do appreciate your time for this. So how are you tonight? Let's get things started on that foot because I know it's 3 hours difference between here and there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm in Arizona right now, probably about 108, 109 degrees out, so it's pretty warm out. Hot, should say hot. Little oven out there, but headed to Newport Beach in a couple days to see my girlfriend and
There you go.
get out of this heat for a little bit.
Hell, I don't blame you. I feel you let the heat here too. I mean, the heat, and I know it's worse over there because you guys have a desert over there, but it's probably just as bad over here. I mean, I've seen it would get over the index over 105 over here.
Yeah, yeah. You guys have the humidity out there. We don't have any humidity here, so it's a different type of heat. But still, when it gets over 100, 110 degrees, it's hot.
Oh, shit, I don't. I feel you on that. So let's get started. Let's before we get into your career, I'd like to ask you. Obviously, you're in Arizona, where you're based out of. I'm sure you still follow the sport, um, but I gotta ask you um, about your Diamondbacks. Where you think where do you think they'll end up? Or because this was a selling year for them. They were all in a couple years ago, made the World Series. I mean, just a couple years ago. Where do you think they need to go to get back to where they were against the Rangers?
Well, my son and I just went to a game the other night playing Colorado, and fortunately, Clint Hurdle, ex old manager of mine, actually in '88 when I came up with the Mets in St. Lucie, he was a first year manager. He won a championship. He left
Mm-hmm.
my son and I a couple tickets right behind the dugout, which
Mm-hmm.
were fantastic seats. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you, Clint, for that. The Diamondbacks. I don't know if you know, but at the beginning of the season, they had 7 pitchers that had to get Tommy John. Well, one of them, I'm
Yep.
not sure if he ended up getting it, but they had 7 pitchers that,
I didn't know it was that many, but
yeah,
I knew it was quite a bit. Pretty much your starting rotation. Yeah.
yeah. And the one guy that didn't get it, he's pitching like he should have gotten it. So, I mean, baseball's tough, man. I mean, you're going to have your down years. And if you're going to have a down year, it might as well be this year when the rest of the pitching staff just can't do much. So, they've improved. The one thing here, the GM, he's not afraid to make some moves once in a while and get rid of a fan favorite or what have you and bring in somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really like how they do things here. The team's competitive. They're still competitive whether they're not winning right now or in first place. They're still competitive. They're fun to watch. They got a good cast of young guys. They got a good cast of older guys, and just give it another year or so. Get these guys healthy back in there, and we'll see what happens. But they're a fun team to watch because they're not afraid to bunt. They're not afraid to play a little bit of small ball, and so I like those kind of teams instead of just sitting there trying to hit bombs all day and striking out all day.
And you actually, I wasn't going to ask you this, but well, till later on. But you kind of beat me to it. I was going to ask you, the small ball aspect. Uh, I agree with you on that. That's how it should be because I even though I'm still young to you, but I grew up in that era too when it was still small ball before the steroid era. That's what I like. I'm sure you agree too. That's what baseball should go to. I don't like this. Basically, what's gone to analytics, hit and miss, walks, etc. I like what some of these teams are doing with bringing that
Yeah,
back.
yeah, it's when it first started happening, the whole thing about hitting home runs and not caring about striking out and all that. Uh, one of the first guys that kind of ran into all this, people don't really realize, but Mike Trout was one of the guys that
Mm-hmm.
struck out a lot. Hell, he got what do you have 180
Yep.
strikeouts his
When he
first
first came
MVP.
up.
His
Yeah.
first MVP year, he had 180
Yeah.
strikeouts, and people are like, "Well, hold on, he still hit 300. He's hitting
Mhm.
30 something bombs every year." Guys, I can't go with it. I can't have an MVP that strikes out 180 times a year. It
Mhm.
just to me that's not an MVP. Yeah, he's really good. Don't get me wrong. He was really good.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is when you're giving the other team 180 strikeouts a season, it's and you're only playing 162 games out of the year, and he was playing 150 tops, and now he's you're good to get 150 games out of him in 3 years total now. So, but you know what? It's really disheartening to watch some of these games and just swinging for the fences all day, and you're seeing just strikeout after strikeout after strikeout. No kidding. Today's strikeout ratio in the big leagues, entire 30 teams out there, big league ratio for striking out is more than Nolan Ryan's career strikeout ratio per game.
That's
That's not
crazy.
right. It's not right.
No,
It's just not
it's
right. When
not.
people say, well, they're throwing hard, Nolan Ryan threw harder than anybody in this game
Right.
ever did see. And
Right.
so, in what you're seeing now, you're seeing the guns out there. They're registering the ball out of the hand and not over the plate like back in the day when I played. And so, what you see on that scoreboard today, you've got to probably take 6 to 8 miles an hour off that on every pitch, because that's how big the difference is from out of the hand till over the plate. And depending on what pitch, sinker, because sinkers slow down further or quicker than a four-seam fastball. But for the most part, and they're juicing the scoreboard up a little bit, so to get the fans to like, wow, this guy just threw 101 miles an hour. I got news for you. He threw 92, 93. And I coached high school baseball for 5 years, and we had some really good pitching in the league, and we saw a lot of good pitching. Guys throwing really, really hard for high school.
Mm.
And my team, they'd sit in the dugout and they'd say, well, this guy's got this guy, and he throws 90, 92, 93. And I always told my team when I heard this in the dugout, I'd say, guys, you have no idea what 90 even is. You have not a clue what 90 is. Because what they're doing now, the guy's throwing 90 miles an hour, 92, he's really throwing 83, 85.
Right.
And that's I got to go to the old guns because it's just what I know. And so when I see a guy like the other night when we went to the baseball game and these guys were throwing 95, whatever, I just look at my son and say, Tucker, it's basically 88, 89 miles an hour is what they're throwing. They're not throwing that hard. And he hates it because, he's kind of the new kid on the block, and he likes, seeing those numbers, and he knows that I'm an older guy, and, I came up at a different time. But at the same time, it is what it is. And so I do know what speed is on coming out of a hand and across the plate, because I used to chart it all the time when I was playing. The pitchers that weren't pitching that day had to go behind the screen and chart and see that gun all the time. And so I've always had a really good, probably within 1 or 2 miles an hour of what the speed of a pitch is. And so when I see 100 on that scoreboard up there, I just shake my head and say, no, it's not.
And I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I mean, it's just crazy nowadays because you see it left and right compared to the era you obviously played in compared to what the era I grew up in. Even though although I grew up in the 90s where it was getting out of that era of the pitchers. But still, regardless, this day, I mean, it's crazy compared to your day when you pitched, because left and right, are you seeing guys going down with Tommy John? It's crazy. It is hard to believe. I know there was Tommy John obviously back when you played, but you got to admit it didn't happen as much as it is now. Why do you think that is? Is it because they're trying to throw so hard because of the analytics?
There's a lot of reasons for it, and the number one reason is because bad mechanics.
Okay.
When guys are trying to throw as hard as they can throw to light up that scoreboard, the mechanics go out the window because they're just trying to add a couple miles an hour to that pitch. And when you have bad mechanics, sooner or later, it's like, for a car, you got to go in and get a tune-up once in a while. You got to change the oil once in a while. And these pitchers aren't doing that. They're throwing year round. The top age right now, this is I just heard this a couple of weeks ago. The top age right now for Tommy John surgery in the United States of America is between 12 and 15 years of age.
Actually, I can believe that.
It's ridiculous what's going on out there, because travel ball, you get these travel ball coaches. I call them so-called coaches because they're not really coaches. They're just out there trying to win. And so they get them out there. They use all the pitching to win a game and win a $5 ring at the end of the week. And so
Right.
they're throwing these kids out there and throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing at a young age when their body's not developed yet, or especially the arm isn't developed. And so it's wears and wears and tears. And the next thing you know, they get older and they can still throw hard, but I'm telling you, those bullets just aren't the same anymore in there. You can only throw so many times, and sooner or later it's going to go down. And when
Yeah.
you got bad mechanics, this is true story. About 15, 20 years ago, I don't know how long it's been, but when I retired from the game, I started watching the pitching on TV a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I started telling my son, this guy's going to go down. This guy's going to go down. This guy's going to go down. And I said, the reason they're going to go down is because of bad mechanics.
Right.
I can tell you right now, faithfully tell you right now, truthfully, that I've only missed on one pitcher in like 15, 20 years now.
Well, you should know. You were a former pitcher. Yeah, you should know. I mean,
well, most pitchers don't know what I know, because here's what happened with me. When I came up in baseball in Legion Ball, and when I went to college for 3 years, I never had a pitching coach. I didn't have a pitching coach till I signed my first professional contract with the Mets in '86. And then I had a slew of coaches. I had my pick of 6 and 7 pitching coaches that I could talk to and what have you about mechanics. And my mechanics weren't that good because I never had a pitching coach. So I studied and they studied me. And so we went back and forth, and my mechanics got better and better and better. That's why I never had an arm injury my entire career. But going back to these players, I've probably called out well over 100 players now that had to have surgery. And I've only missed on once, and that was Frankie Rodriguez when he was with the Angels. He's the closer. And if you go back and look at Frankie Rodriguez mechanics over his career, they got better and better and better. He worked at his
yeah, I do remember him. Yeah. He was an
and,
outstanding closer. Outstanding.
And that's the other reason why, people always say Nolan Ryan, he was an outlier. Nolan Ryan wasn't an outlier, not in my opinion by anything. What Nolan Ryan did that other people didn't do was he worked on his legs. He worked out in the weight room. And the one thing that he did a lot better than anybody else is he worked on his mechanics from the time he was with the Mets back in '69 up until the day he was with the Texas Rangers back then. He kept working. And when I give lessons to pitchers, I try my best to get the pitchers to look at what Nolan Ryan did with his lower half front side, because once that lower half front side's gone, you got to let go of the ball. And so some of these pitchers today, all they're doing is opening up their front side and not controlling it. And so their arm is lagging back behind. Next thing you know, that elbow takes a toll on that elbow, and it's going to be gone. And next thing you know, they're in surgery. And what was the number this year? It was close to 400 pitchers this year were on the DL at one time. And it was like a month into the season, over 400 pitchers. Now there's only 850 players in the big leagues, right? Something like that. They added another. They added another to every team. So if you do the math, what's in the big leagues right now is basically AAA pitchers. And people say the pitching's so much better. No, it's not. It's not bad. It's a lot worse. They don't know how to pitch
I agree
anymore.
with you on that one.
They're not pitching. They're just throwing as hard as they can.
Right.
They very rarely hit a spot. You watch the catcher put his glove up. They very rarely hit their spots.
Yeah.
And so I was just talking, on my podcast a couple hours ago. Greg Maddux today wouldn't even be in the big leagues, according to the standards of what they want out there, because he didn't throw over. When Greg Maddux first came up, he was throwing 93, 94 with the Cubs, which today would be close to 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But he regressed, and he went back and said, you know what? I don't have to throw hard. I just got to pitch. I got to throw it to my location and pitch.
It's the only way. Yeah, exactly. It's where you locate. Yeah, that's how it should be.
Right, and that's why he ended up winning over 300 games and doing what he did. All pitchers, all young pitchers should go watch Greg Maddux pitch and just say, wow. And that's what he did. He'd throw that cambio, the changeup, and he'd throw his curveball, and he'd spot his fastball with some movement on it, and it was lights out almost every time.
So that also leads me to my next question leading into that, because I grew up also in the era where still the starting pitcher, like when you pitch, still at least went a complete game, 9 innings. I missed that era. I mean, do you think the game should go back to that? That was my next question to you, was like, in your opinion, do you think it should go back to that?
It's soon. I think it's going to be coming back, just like the hitting is. They're getting away from all the home runs and stuff now and play a little more small ball, and pitching same way. When you're in an organization. Say you're running an organization. You're the GM. You're the minor league director, whatever.
Right.
You've got to start taking into account everybody in your organization, what they can and cannot do. And
Right.
I'll take the Los Angeles Dodgers, and just a great example is them. They don't have a bullpen anymore. I mean, they just run them out there until they're hurt, and they bring up another guy, send the other guy out. They have countless ends of money, and so they can do that. They just bring up another guy, let him go till he breaks again, and then they do it again and do it again and do it again.
Right.
And sooner or later, if you don't have a bullpen in the big leagues, you're not going to win because your pitchers aren't going to go 5 and 6 innings all the time, especially today. I mean, when they get close to 80 pitches, they start getting somebody up in the bullpen. I'm like, what are you doing? This guy's giving up 1 hit in 5 or 6 innings. You're getting somebody ready right now? No, let that guy go.
And I think an instant well learned, and I think you know where I'm going with this. For my Tampa Bay Rays, one of my teams, because I'm a Padre fan first and foremost, but I'm also a Rays fan. Been since they were here in '98. But exactly, plain example, you had my point right there. What happened in the World Series that cost them that game and possibly cost them that whole series when they freaking let analytics take over. I don't blame Snell for being pissed that they took him out. He was dominating.
Yeah,
and he could have gone the whole 9.
And that's why these guys leave. That's why they end up leaving. What was it? Scherzer? No, it was Scherzer a couple years back when he got traded over the Dodgers for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Roberts came out and took him out, and he hadn't gone 5 innings yet. Like, what are you doing? What are you taking me out of the game for? And he walks off. I swear to that day, I called and texted a few people and said, he will not re-sign with this team. He just got shown right there. He's one of the best pitchers in the game today, and they took him out before the 5th inning was over, and everything was fine. I mean, how many times do you think he'd been in that same situation in his career and got out of it?
That's basically to me saying, "Oh, you don't trust me at all anymore. You basically you don't trust me. You trust the stupid analytics."
You know what it else does? You know what else it does? It tells your team, your entire team, we're not going to score any runs.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying. You're not trusting those players out there behind you to come in and score runs for you.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
That's the other half of that. And so everybody's like, well, hold on. Why are you taking him out right now? Because you don't think we can score any more runs? So what if he gives up another? And we're still in the 5th inning right now. We still have 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. We still got 4.5 innings to play. And here they're taking a guy out who's proven time and time again that he can go a complete game and win. And today it's like, all right, nobody cares about wins anymore. Well, hold on here. Every time I took the mound, I had 2 things I wanted to do that day. 1, I wanted to win. Number 2, I wanted to finish the game.
Right.
Those are my 2 things. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a couple times when, like, I was in Japan, and they just brought a new kid up, from the minor leagues to sit in the bullpen and basically learn and watch.
Right.
And I remember a couple times I did this. I told my interpreter, I said, hey, tell the manager, we're up 8 runs right now. We're at 8 runs. I just finished the 7th inning. Get that kid ready to come in and pitch in the 9th inning. Get him an inning. They're like, no, you gotta finish the game. And I'm like, God, I finished almost every game I pitch here. Get this kid in the game. This game now is done for the most part. He's not going to give up 8 runs.
Right.
Get him in there and pitch. I actually talked him into it a few times to get those. You just brought him up today. The kid's high as a kite.
See, in those instances, I agree with you. Like, why continue to pitch? Yeah, exactly. You're already up. I agree with you on that. Let somebody else do it. They're not going to give up that many. Yeah, I agree. But
get that kid in there. He's brand new, never pitched in the big leagues over there. You brought him up, get him in the game, get his feet wet now so he's ready to go the next time.
And now that you mention it, I agree with you now because I was thinking the same thing because shortly right after that, I was like, yep, Snell's going to leave. And what happened that year?
Snell
left. Got traded to my Padres.
That's and he probably requested it.
Yep.
He probably requested to go.
He probably secretly requested it.
It happens. It happens. Yep. And I don't blame guys today for doing that because it's a tough gig. I mean, first of all, you're signing a guy for how much money a year? Over 6, 7, 8 years to pitch for you, and then now you're putting him on a 100-pitch limit. Who came up with this magical 100-pitch limit? By the way, is what I want to know.
Their excuse was it? Oh, he was coming off injury. Like really?
Well, they're all off injury then, because I'm gonna. By the way, I'm gonna go back and tell you something here. I was telling you about all these guys that I called were gonna have to have surgery. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what people should learn about this game of baseball. Go back and look over the last 20 years. How many number one and number two pitchers on the staffs have had to have surgery? I can probably count them all in one hand in the last 20 years.
I can name quite a few myself. Just
No, the
not as much
reason,
as you, but I can name quite a few.
no, I'm saying the guys that didn't have surgery, they're number ones and number twos. And the reason those number ones and number twos don't have surgery because they all have good mechanics. That's why they're number ones and number twos, because they can throw their fastball where they want to throw it. They can throw their off-speed pitch at any count they want to throw it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with these other pitchers. They can't. So they just keep letting it go. And that's where I'm saying that baseball needs to learn, why did number ones and number twos not have to have surgery? Well, they got good mechanics. Well, how'd they get mechanics? Because they worked on it. So
Right.
get your pitching coaches out there to work on great mechanics. And now we're going to have big league pitchers instead of AAA pitchers and AA pitchers pitching the big leagues. That's just my feeling on the whole thing.
No, I agree, because I totally agree with you. And like I said, I can name 1 and 2 starters that haven't compared to the rest of the starting rotation. Just like you, I can name quite a bit of few that have it, because like you said, their mechanics are horrible. I'm no pitcher, but I can tell when mechanics are horrible.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I'm hoping Paul Skeens. I hope I'm wrong about Paul Skeens, but I think he's going to be another one going down.
Oh, I hate to agree with you, but yes, I think so too.
His front side just goes loose too quick, and he's opened up. Don't get me wrong, he's dealing right. In fact, he's pitching right now against Milwaukee. I think he gave up 2 runs in the first 2 innings, but by the way, his fastball is already down. I don't know if you guys all know that. His fastball's already lost like 2 or 3 miles an hour from
I did not know
last
that.
year.
No.
Yeah.
Because
so there's something going on.
Ever on, because I don't, even though I have the extra innings, not extra innings, but the network, the TV, I only watch the Padres and the Rays.
Right.
Well, Padres. But yeah, I didn't know that. So really his so he's got to be careful then if he's losing his stuff already.
That's what's happening.
Scary.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, when you're pitching the big leagues, it's not like pitching in college or the lower minor leagues, because once you get to the big leagues, it's on. Lights are on. So the adrenaline's there all the time. So everything's going a little bit faster than what you normally were used to. And so now that arm, man, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But when he was in college, I told my son, sooner or later, this kid's going to have surgery on that elbow. Because
did you think that way about Scooble?
No, not at all. He's got great mechanics.
Okay.
He's got great. And the one thing about Scooble is, my son and I went and watched him pitch it last year when he was here and playing the Diamondbacks, and we sat right behind the plate. Mm-hmm. And I told my son, this was early in the season. Go back and look when they came to the Diamondbacks last year. I told my son, I said, if this kid can keep throwing that changeup in any count like he is, he'll be a Cy Young winner, perennial Cy Young candidate every year.
And look how dominant he's been this year. Because ESPN had a stat with how much he's been striking out on the changeup. I forget what it was that they threw out there, but the stats that he's throwing his changeup and he's gotten the most whiff on it was bizarre. Was crazy.
Yeah, he throws it for a strike. If you can throw that changeup for a strike consistently, and I'm not saying throw it for a strike in the zone, throw it for a strike so they swing at it. You know, every time I threw a changeup, I threw it with the intent that they're going to swing at it, because I wanted them to swing at it, because pretty good chance it's either going to be a little bit north or south, or it's going to be out of the zone down below. So I want them to see changeup, see strike, and swing at it. And that's how people don't get that about pitching either. You know, if you're going to throw a changeup, I always try to throw it right down the middle of the plate. Because I want them to swing at it. Right. And so you don't see too many changeups get hurt in the big leagues. You don't see it. And that's another thing. Why aren't more pitchers throwing changeups? I don't get it. You know, you got a few guys out there that throw good curveballs, and that's one of the reasons Kershaw's been good his whole career, is because nobody else throws that left-handed curveball like he does.
And he knows where to locate it because of his fastball speed.
And so plus the high zone now is really helped a lot of guys with their breaking balls. Right. But back in the day when I was pitching, these curveballs that they're calling for strikes now that are high, I would have had to ask for a new ball because they'd have hit it out of the ballpark. Today they're just okay, it's a strike, whatever. I don't just things have changed a little bit.
That also leads me now to my next question that you said that bring that up. I got to ask, do you like the whole implement with the whole automated umpire system that they implemented in minors with the ball strike? Because in our day, it was just human error. I think you're taking away human error by doing that. But what's your take on that?
I'm gonna tell you exactly what I think, because when I was pitching, I know that I threw a lot more strikes than what they called. I know I
Okay.
did. I know I
Okay.
did. And I always said, if you're going to do anything electronically, do the strike zone.
Which is what
Uh,
they're doing. Okay.
and,
Okay.
I don't want to challenge. I want to see every pitch called the way it should be called. I mean, I've said it for years. All you got to do is have a red light and a green light in the umpire's mask. And if it hits that line, it's a green, and you say strike. If it's a red, you don't do anything because it's a
Right.
ball, or whichever color you're going to go with.
Right.
And basically, the only reason you need an umpire behind the plate is for two things: a 3-2 count, and to call an out at the plate, safer out at the plate with a play. Other than that, you don't need an umpire behind the plate. If you think about it, that's it. A 3-2 count, you need one, because is he going to walk or is he going to strike out?
Right.
Balls in the dirt, whatever. Other than that, you don't need an umpire back there. So the one thing it's going to really do, which I'm really glad, is we're going to get away from all these catchers now on their knees and trying to frame pitches like little leaguers, pulling balls in the zone. I don't get it. I always say this is a grande ligas, and what I'm seeing on TV is basically travel ball now for a lot of reasons.
I agree with you on that. That leads me to this one as well. Getting back into that, what do you think about the communication too? Do you wish you guys had that when you were pitching, the communication
No,
with
hell
the
no.
catcher?
I wouldn't even use it today. If I would still be saying put your signs down. I don't like that, because first of all, I'm going to call off some pitches during a game. I'm going to shake
Okay.
my head. No, I don't want that pitch. Very, very few games during my 16-year career professionally did I ever not shake at least once or twice or three times a game. Most
Okay.
of the time, I'm like, okay, I just saw something with this guy. He's putting down a fastball away. No, I want to see a fastball up and in on this guy right now. And so
Right.
I got to shake him off back to that fastball to the inside so he moves over for me. And
Right.
so I don't like it. I will never like it. I always like calling my own game, and today's now they're letting the catchers just call whatever they want to call. Okay, I'm gonna throw it. But here's the problem, guys. You give up that home run, you give up those runs. Guess what? They're on your stats. And so now, when it comes to free agency time or during the off season, you're looking for a raise. They're going to say, whoa, 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 or they might release your ass,
Yeah.
get rid of you, because of it. Put your career in your own hands, and don't let a catcher, don't put it in your catcher's hands. Put it in your hands and call the game the way you want to call it and throw it. You're going to have more integrity for that pitch every time you throw it what you want to throw instead of what somebody else is throwing for you.
And no, I kind of, that's why I had to ask you, because I don't mind it. I mean, I just led me to wanting to ask you if is the reason why they started was because a lot of people hitting wise, and what happened in the dugout is if people were stealing signs. Is that why they pretty much implemented this?
I got news for you. They're still stealing signs. It's still happening. It's a different way to do it now. The problem is, guys, is you've always had guys trying to steal signs. It's legal. It's legal to use it unless you're using electronic equipment to do it. And when the Astros got busted, big deal. They got busted. I got news for you. Every team in the league cheated somehow for signs. I guarantee it. Every team I played for in my 16-year professional career cheated somehow to get signs. Somehow.
Right.
When I was with the Boston Red Sox, no question about it. Check this out. When we were playing the Yankees, they brought down mini binoculars in the bullpen and had us guys in the bullpen like this, looking at the catcher and the pitcher to see if we could pick up signs. Completely illegal. When I was with the Dodgers, we'd bring a TV into the bullpen inside because we had a little cubby hole to sit inside, and not have to sit out with the fans. We had a TV in there. That's completely illegal. I mean, you're seeing the signs, you're picking up what the catcher's doing. Completely illegal. You can't do that stuff. Every team I played for cheated somehow for signs. You're never going to get rid of it. It's not going to happen. Now I'm seeing they're doing it to try to speed things up also. And here these things are going bad. Batteries are dying, what have you. And to me, it's just, God, the game of baseball was so pure back when, it was, you came out with a leather mitt glove in your hand. You had, ash for wood, and it smelled great. You had your baseball that was leather. Now it's just all kinds of stuff. Guys wearing oven mitts once they get on the plate. You got all kinds of gear on the legs and the shoulders and the arms, and the game has completely changed.
Sorry if you can hear my kids. I'm trying to get them. Sorry.
Just gotta whack them. You gotta whack them once in a
while. Right. But yeah, I mean, you're basically helping me out because I grew up watching it. I just don't. Yes, baseball has changed in so many ways. I mean, but yet at least they're trying to fix up their mishaps with the game. They're trying at least with small ball, like you said, is coming back. Because Rays, for example, is doing well with that with Chandler Simpson and what they do over there. I just don't. I didn't like where it was going, and I think viewership has told them we need to go back.
You might want to get your little one there moved away a little bit.
I know. Fed now. But yeah, I think viewership has told them we got to go back to something's wrong with the game. It's too analytics driven. And I think, don't you think The Office took heed in that? So did the other teams as well. Like viewership is going down.
Yeah, when they first did the pitch clock, I'm still against the pitch clock, even though it's fans are loving it. A lot of fans are loving it. They're getting out, whatever. But the problem is, everything has changed. I said this a couple of years ago. I said if you took a complete team that played, say, 15, 20 years ago, and they were all in a coma. They were all in a coma, and they all woke up one day, they're ready to play. They wouldn't even know the rules.
Right.
They wouldn't know the rules. I mean, the rules have changed so much since this new commissioner's come in and put his stamp on the game and his name on the game. You don't need all these changes. I mean, for instance, why would you take away the fake throw to third base? Why would you take the fake pickoff to third base? Why would you have the intentional walk now just say, go to first base? You're in the big leagues. You're going to tell me that, hey, just go to first base. No, you're in the big leagues. Throw the 4 pitches.
Yeah.
Or hit the guy, for God's sakes, if you want to, and get him to first base. But all I'm saying is some of these rules they've changed, they just don't make sense anymore. It's just senseless to me. They eliminated the left-handed reliever in the bullpen.
Yeah.
It used to, you had the one guy just to face that one lefty during the game, and now he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
If you got to face 3 hitters, or you the end of the inning or something like that, whatever it is now. And now they got the bigger bases.
It's a 3-hitter minimum. Yeah, I know. I hate that rule.
Yeah, it just all these things just don't make sense to me. It's and here's the other thing too. Now they got the pitch clock and the hitter clock. I just hope and pray that a playoff series or a World Series is going to end on either some type of pitch clock or hitting clock, and it's going to happen soon.
Lost him. Can you still hear me?
That texted me.
Okay, can you hear me now? Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened there. So.
No, you're okay. I can hear you. I'm here. It's not through my ear.
Okay. Oof. That was connection issues there for a second. I thought, okay, good. Good.
She just texted me, or she tried calling me. I'm sorry.
You're good. Okay. But yeah, you were saying no.
Hold on, I'm gonna send her a quick message.
You're good.
I'll call you when I'm done with the podcast. I let her know that I was doing this. Okay, I'm coming back.
You're good.
All right. I don't know why my earphones quit working. Anyway, you're good. Keep going.
You were saying no before that. Your train of thought. Go, continue with what you were saying.
What was I talking about?
How they've totally disgressed the game, that you think it's going to end, which I do think so as well. It's going to end on the pitch.
Oh, yeah. Sooner or later, you're going to have games. You're going to have games that are going to end in a playoff, or the series is going to end on that play where the clock runs out or whatever. And you gotta give time. That's what I'm saying. You've got first of all, pitchers doing that. The only way they get a timeout is if they step off. Now they use their one time stepping off, and you get one more with runners on base. So it's just, I don't know. It just there's too many things going on out there now that don't have to be going on, and that's where I'm at with all that.
And I agree with you. I know they're trying, but yeah, it's going to end like that, and it's not going to end well for them, because then that's when you'll have a lot of backlash, and like we just said, that's when they're going to start these changes again, like they're starting with the small ball and all that, and the pitching.
Yeah.
They're going to get a lot of complaints, a lot of viewership down, because, like you said, some games going to end that way, especially like you said, maybe a World Series, and all hell's going to break loose.
Yep. And I really believe it's going to happen one day. I mean, sooner or later, everything happens for a reason, and I just think it's going to happen sooner or later.
I agree. My loyal fan who loves baseball, he wants to ask you a question. I don't know if you see this, but I guess you pitched on the last day in 1990 for the Reds. He wants to know, did you get a ring or anything?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I got a ring. Yeah. Absolutely, I did. Yeah, I pitched the last inning. If I remember, the last inning we were in Houston, and I believe it's Houston. And got to throw it. Doug Harvey, it was his last major league game behind the plate. I don't know if you know who Doug Harvey is, but he's a Hall of Fame umpire.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually got the pleasure to be able to play golf with him after he retired up in Pebble Beach. And we used to go for a baseball World Series of golf up there at Pebble. And yeah, I got it. People don't know this, but his last game he ever umpired, I was the second last pitch, because the home team had to pitch last in the game. But
right.
For the entire game, he completely put dirt all over the plate. You couldn't see the plate, and then he put the catcher in the other batter's box. And so if you threw it over the plate, it was a ball. If you threw it to the mitt, it was a strike. So you didn't have to throw a strike the entire game to get hitters out. I'm telling you right now, hitters were so pissed off, it was crazy. I'll never forget. Mitch Webster, oh my, he was already known for a snapper, being a snapper type of guy and getting upset. Oh my God, because he was working on a few things, for his next contract.
Right.
And so Doug, it was funny. I mean, I got a pitch. I ended up the last ball that I threw in that game. I had him sign it. He was the first person to sign for his retirement. And I still have a ball today.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So, yeah, what do you remember most? What obviously you remember that time, like my guy referenced. So tell us about that year with the Reds. What do you remember about it?
Well, my rookie year, I didn't spend a lot of time in the big leagues, but the little time that I was there, it was awesome. I got first of all, the day I got called up, I got stories galore about my career, but the day I got called up, it got rained out. We're playing the Braves, and we get rained out. So I'm sitting in the dugout waiting for this. And they finally called the game and rained out. So the next day we had to play the Braves, and I get up for the ninth inning, and we'd already won. The team had already won 8 straight games, and so that was the 9th game of the season. And I got to pitch. Lou puts me in. Pinella puts me in to pitch the 9th inning, and I go 1, 2, 3, and it was a new record for the Cincinnati Reds to start a season with a 9-0 record. And I was kind of cool. They ended up making a video after the season, winning the whole World Series, and the video starts out with me throwing the last pitch of that game, and then shaking Joe Oliver's hand for the win. And by the way, my first hitter was Dale Murphy, who should be in the Hall of Fame.
No, I agree. He should be. I remember the tail end of his career. I don't remember all of it, but yeah, I agree with you. He should be. I don't know why he is.
3-time MVP and the numbers he put up, man. There's no reason that Dale Murphy's not in the Hall of Fame.
If Chipper's in, he should be in.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you take different positions. I got to kind of do that, but at the same time, there's no doubt Dale Murphy's a Hall of Famer.
I agree. So my historian wants to know. I guess you gave up a homer to Bonds. What do you remember about that home run?
I remember he turned and put his hands up in the air and ran around the bases. I remember that well. I'm in Bond's book. I got no problem with it. I got him too. I think he was 1 for 4 off of me or something like that. And so I got one time too. But other than that, you know what? Home run hitters are going to hit home runs. That's what they do. You miss with the big leagues. I got news for you. You miss with the, just like I said earlier, when I missed with the curveball up, I threw the pitch. I knew it was going to get out of the ballpark for you as soon as it released my hand. And that's what happens when you're at that level. Those guys take advantage. And today, it's not like that. You know, they're taking these pitches up there. I'm like, man, that's you don't even have to move your hands one bit to hit that ball hard. And today they're not hitting it. They're, you know, like Mike Trout. What a career he's had, right? But at the same time, Mike Trout's a dead low ball hitter.
Mm-hmm.
He can't hit the pitch up. After his 300, I think it was his 300th home run, 200 or 300th home run. I don't remember how many he has, but they made a video of every home run he had to that point. Not one ball was above mid-thigh in those home runs. Not one ball was higher than mid-thigh. What's that tell you about Mike Trout? He's a low ball hitter. Right. Why aren't they pitching him up? Why don't they pitch him up? I'll tell you why. Because pitchers are programmed to throw down. They've always been programmed to throw down. Now they're finally realizing, hey, Mike Trout can't hit the fastball up. And what are they throwing him nowadays? Fastballs up. He's hitting home runs still because he's hitting that low pitch, but they're getting him out on that pitch upstairs now.
Yeah, he's been striking out a lot more. Yeah, his stats are where 1, 2. Also, he can't stay healthy, unfortunately. God bless his soul. He can't stay healthy, but yeah, You're right. That's where he's because like you say, he's been a low ball hitter all his career, and pitchers have finally realized that, and that's where they're heading for him. Yeah, he hits his home runs, like you said, but he strikes out more.
You want to know that too about Mike Trout? Mike Trout is a great athlete. He doesn't have the greatest swing. He's not the greatest outfielder. He's a great athlete. He makes things happen because he's such a great athlete. If he could have learned a better swing and learned how to get better jumps and read balls in the outfield, wow, he's all going to be a Hall of Famer. Don't get me wrong. But the problem,
without doubt, for sure.
He could have been so much better. But here's the thing about the big leagues. When guys have success in the big leagues, is a coach going to mess with them? No. Because now you mess this guy up, your job is gone. You're out of here. You're out of here.
Right.
So I think that's one of the big problems with the big leagues is guys. First of all, they sign a multi-year contract. What's the hitter going to say? What's the pitcher going to say? You're gonna mess with me? I got a 6-year deal. I can do what the hell I want to do.
Right.
So it's kind of how it works. Some guys do listen, some guys don't.
And I agree. That's what, unfortunately, the money issue is that. The money aspect is ridiculous because, you're right. It just depends on how cocky the guy is. If they think their stuff don't stink, they're not going to listen, like you said, and that's unfortunate because that's why you pay these coaches,
right?
Is that to help,
to
help if something's not right. But like you said, you were a coach too. But if you were a major league coach, what would you say to that? Like, what would your advice be to that? Or if they didn't listen, if they thought their crap didn't stink, what would you say to them?
Well, I'd first do it. I'd let them do their thing for a while. And as soon as they start struggling, because everybody's going to struggle sooner or later. I don't care who you are at the big league level. You're going to struggle. It's just going to happen one way or another. Right. And once they get that struggle point, that's when you go over and say, hey, I might have something for you. You might want to listen to. And if they don't want to, they don't want to. If they do, they do. They don't, they don't. I'll never forget my first year in instructional ball was 1986 with the Mets. Just got out of winning the national championship with the Anchorage Glacier Pilots in Wichita, Kansas. Mm-hmm. I go to instructional ball, and like I told you, my mechanics weren't that good. They really weren't that good, because I'd never had a pitching coach.
Right.
Well, I kept every time I go through a bullpen, I'd have like 3 or 4 pitching coaches sitting there watching me. It was really the craziest thing. So I'm like, maybe they like me here. I don't know. They're sitting here checking me out and watching everything I do. Well, I can't remember how far into the camp it was. Joel Osteen, Joel Horland was there, and ex-pitcher in the big leagues, really good pitcher. I looked at him one day and I said, God, if I just had something that could hold my left arm back during my delivery, maybe things would work and I could feel it. No joke, I swear to God, Joel Horland, he pulls this rubber tube out of his pocket. He says, I couldn't wait for you to say something about that. He said, let's work on it. And I was like, absolutely, let's work on it. And so that's what I'm saying. He didn't just come to me and say, hey, Kip, I got something for you. He let me bring it out first. And God, I wish I had something that could help this lead arm from doing what it's doing.
And so he put that strap on my arm, and I'd throw, and I could feel what I was supposed to feel like. And that's where it comes from.
Now, I ask all my former ball players this that was in our era, before the steroid era. You guys were on strike in the 94 season. Do you see ultimately, after this bargaining agreement, that coming up where you see a potential strike coming like you guys did? Because apparently all rumors report is probably true because ESPN is usually good about this crap when it comes out. Basically, Manfred didn't even have to say anything, and Harper, one of the best players in baseball, said, "Get the fuck out of our clubhouse."
Right.
So get the fuck out of this with a payroll and all that. Do you see another strike coming like that? Because honestly, I think there should be somewhat of payroll because that's not fair to these teams, low market teams. But what's your take on that? And do you see another strike like there was?
Well, I sat through a lot of player association meetings, because every spring training, the head of the association comes in and they have a meeting with every team sooner or later during spring training.
Right.
And I'd sit and their big thing all the time was salary cap. We're not going to have a salary cap because they want players to make a lot of money. And they don't want to take the guys that have 10-year contracts for Ohtani $700 million and Yamamoto $300 million. They don't want to take that away from players. Well, okay, don't take it away from them. But here, let's do this, guys. Let's at least do this. Let's make that Kansas City Royals. Let's make the Minnesota Twins. Let's make the Tampa Bay Rays. Let's make those teams, Miami Marlins. Let's make those teams have to pay at least so much payroll a season.
Right.
So much. You're not going to stop the Dodgers. The Dodgers got a conglomerate. What they just bought the Lakers for $10 billion for guys.
Right. Exactly.
So they're unlimited money. Okay.
Right.
It's unfair. So at least what you should do, luxury tax means nothing. The luxury tax has been there for how long? And it means nothing. You think the Dodgers care about a luxury tax?
No, not one bit.
Like
you said, they just bought the freaking Lakers.
What I'm saying is they just bought 2 players for $1 billion too. They don't care about luxury tax.
Yeah.
All they care about is winning and paying whatever they got to pay to get that player on that team. When you go to the Kansas City Royals, you go to the Minnesota Twins, you go to the Rays, you go to the Miami Marlins. They're like, geez, I hope I draft a kid that I can get rid of in 5 years.
Right, because they get rid of every player that they pay over $10 million.
That's what I'm talking about. And it's. I was telling on my podcast today. I was saying to the audience that every year for the last probably 20 years, I can probably tell you during the season. It doesn't be during the season. I can tell you right now, 4 years from now, I can tell you right now, 4 teams going to make the playoffs in the big leagues in 4 years. That's not right. It shouldn't happen that way. It should be competitive.
Right.
Every fourth, fifth year, the Royals come back and have a decent team and do something. And the Oakland A's, man, Billy Beane up there, what he did with that team for years was incredible up there. He's got no payroll whatsoever.
Right.
Other teams, same way. That's why I've always said, why are they giving these GMs like the Yankees and the Dodgers and these teams, like, why are these GMs getting GM of the year? Why don't you give it to a Billy Beane or somebody that made the playoffs, for God's sake, with their payroll that's a tenth of yours? That guy did something. You give me an unlimited payroll, I got news for you. Just like the Yankees back, when they had shit, you could have taken a name and put it in a hat with all the names in the hat and pull it out and just made a lineup every day. It wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
You still got to have cohesiveness. You still got to have, the team getting along and everything cohesiveness together. But at the same time, when you bring in the best players, you better win. And that's my thing with the whole thing is the Dodgers, Yankees, the Mets, Philadelphia, Boston, they should be embarrassed if they don't get to the World Series every year. That's my opinion.
No, and I agree with you. It's true. I hate to say it, with their payroll and they're not getting you caring. Yeah, they should. You're right. They should.
And I just named how many teams I just named. in 4 years, tell me if they're going to make the playoffs or not.
Right.
Guaranteed they will be.
Right.
That's not right.
I agree.
You look at the NFL. They got a salary cap. They got a hard salary cap. Okay? Look at the NFL every year. Can you tell me this year who's gonna be in the playoffs for the most part?
Besides the Chiefs? No. Besides the Chiefs?
It's
that's
tough.
it.
Well, all you got to do now with the thing with the NFL is you say, well, who's got the best quarterbacks? Because it's a quarterback-driven league. But at the same time, it's tough, man. It's a tough gig because there's so many other factors out there. Yeah. The Chiefs have one of the best chances of making the playoffs. The Ravens have one of the best chances of making the playoffs. The Bills have a great chance of making the playoffs.
Eagles.
So will they make the playoffs? They're one injury away from not making the playoffs. One injury away.
Right.
So baseball's got to figure that out.
But do you think, though, there is going to be a potential strike like there was in '94?
I
Do you think
know.
that?
I don't know where there should never be a lockout or a strike. Right now, they should be sitting down at the table right now. They should be right now having discussions constantly right now. You got your player reps. They know what's going on. Instead of sitting down at a table, they're like, okay, it's coming up. We'll wait. No, get it done now.
I agree.
Get the fans to know right now that you have something going on, and we're working at this. Get the fans, because I got news for you right now. Another strike or lockout, you're going to lose a lot of fans again.
Right, and I can guarantee you that's what they're going to do. They're going to wait, and it's going to suck too. It really is, because they're going to piss off the players even more with this, and it's going to freaking wait.
Right.
I guarantee you it's going to come down. You watch. It's going to come down to the last minute.
Right. It always comes down, okay, the player's going to say they're cooking their books. They're not showing everything. They're making ton. We know they're making a lot of money. Are you kidding me? They just signed Ohtani and Yamamoto for $1 billion. We know they got money. That's not the issue. The question is are we going to have a career? Are we going to have talks and get this so everybody's agree upon everything, and so we don't have to have the possible lockout or possible strike? Because I'm telling you guys, I sat in Tokyo one time. I used to go work out a lot of times at this place called the American Club in Tokyo when I was playing in Japan. And no question, no doubt about it. Check this out. I think it was his second year. Kobe Bryant comes walking in all by himself. I'm down there working out all myself.
Wow.
Walking in. He was on a little tour. He's doing a little promotion thing in for about a week. And we neither one of us worked out for about 2 hours. We just sat and talked. And he was asking me some questions about what I thought about this and that and how baseball worked and that. And I said, here's the one thing, Kobe. Here's the one thing I will promise you right now. Don't ever be involved in a strike or a lockout. Don't ever do it, because you're going to lose so many fans over it. And it's the way it is. I don't care who strikes or what happens with the lockout or a strike. You're going to lose fans. This year, you've already lost a bunch of fans just because of the way the game has changed already.
Right, exactly.
There's a lot of like guys say. I mean, I know so many baseball players, ex-baseball players. They will not watch baseball anymore because they don't even know what's going on the field anymore. It's just too
right.
much.
And I've spoken to quite a bit of you. If you hear my podcast and I also kudos to you too. I got to get into your podcast too. We'll give that info later too as well. I'll tune into that. But also, if you tune into my other podcast, where I've had other former players, they agree with your take as well. With they don't like where the game's going. So yeah.
Right, and you're going to lose more and more fans. The last time, what was it? You had the McGuire-Sosa thing with the home runs. That kind of, got the excitement back. But then next thing, everybody's like, okay, I don't want to watch steroids. And then you got other people saying, fuck, bring all the steroids in. It was a lot more fun to watch. Well, you can't break the rules still, but you got to change the rules to get this to happen.
Right. And I'm still 50-50 on that, by the way, because obviously, that wasn't implemented in the rules.
Actually, it was.
Was it? Okay, it was. Because I've heard mixed that it was that.
Let me tell you the story. Let me tell you.
All these other outlets.
1991.
Okay.
Barry Meister, who's my agent, we're sitting at dinner, lunch, or I think it was lunch. We're sitting at lunch. And I said, Barry, all the steroids going on and stuff. I said, is it illegal? And he says, yeah, it's illegal. And I said, but it's not in the rules. He said, let's call the commissioner. We got on the phone during lunch and we called the commissioner's office and we flat out asked them, are steroids legal in baseball? They says, no, they're not legal in baseball. And we asked, he said, well, they're not in the rules. He says, is cocaine in the rules? Are all these different drugs, marijuana, are they in the rules? No. What they told us was, if it's banned in society, it's banned in baseball. It's that simple. So steroids were illegal in baseball. It's just that what didn't have to put it. I mean, if you're going to get picked up on the streets for having a baggie full of steroids, you can't have it at the plate. And here's my reasoning for this too, to let you know. How many guys during the steroid era admitted doing steroids?
Not many, unless they wanted to get back into the game.
Nobody did.
Right, unless they wanted to get back into the game.
If they were legal, why didn't they admit they were doing it?
Right.
Because they weren't legal. That's why. If they'd come in and confessed they were on steroids, they got banned in a second. They got a ban like Steve Howe got 7 times for cocaine.
And this is why I'm glad I have you on and my other players I've had on, because you can't trust the media, because the media has said all the time that steroids weren't in the rules. When I first got to the big leagues, I was told right away, 50% of what you read in the paper is false for a game. And it's true. 50%. I see. Thank you for saying that. Cause like I said, I was like, that's why I said I was like 50-50, because that, like, everything, and to this day, they're still saying you could still use them.
No.
So, like, because
that's what I keep saying. If it was legal, why didn't people admit they were on steroids? Because they weren't legal. If it was hell yeah. If they were legal, I'd say, yeah, I'm on steroids, big deal. But they weren't legal. That's why nobody admitted to it. And so that's why, yeah, you couldn't go to the plate and snort a line in the middle of the game, could you? No, because it was illegal. If it's illegal in society, it was illegal in baseball. That was the reason they gave me, and I completely going with it.
And I couldn't have said it any better. I agree with you on that, because I honestly hated that. I hated that era, because that's unfortunately the era I grew up in, and that's unfortunately what it's always going to be called, is the steroid era. And you played in it, so you know how it is. Yeah,
you know what? It was disheartening for me. I went to my last season. I went to a spring training with the Dodgers in 2001. Jim Tracy was there. It was kind of a favor to me, because I knew him when I played with the Reds way back when, and so they brought me in, and I was in spring training. And when I walked in the clubhouse for the first time, I looked around at the names. I looked all around the room at the names on the lockers, and I said to myself, I got a chance to make this team. I got a chance to make this team. 2 weeks later, I realized I had no shot of making that team. No shot, because everybody around me was on the juice. And some of these pitchers, they couldn't break 85 the year before. Couldn't break 83, 85 the year before. Now they're throwing 95, 98 just in a year's time. There was no chance I was going to make that team. None. So that's just how it was.
And that's why I feel bad for you guys that did it clean, like you players that did it clean, because, yeah, they, like you said, they got the advantages of it. And like you said, look at what McGuire and Sosa got out of it. They got a home run chase and eyes on them, and that baseball loved that.
They made a ton of money doing it.
And it just sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it once in a while. I look back and say, what if, but at the same time, you know what? I did it clean. I did it as clean as I could do it, and never once stuck a needle in my ass to get bigger or throw harder or anything like that. And I just worked hard. I was always the hardest worker on the team. Nobody ever outworked my ass. But you get to the point where now you're getting in the clubhouse, and this guy's throwing 95 and he threw 83 last year. It's like, I can't compete now. I can't do this anymore. And it's kind of funny about that whole year was too. Jim Tracy, he admitted he brought me into camp as a favor, because I knew him pretty well. We different reasons, but he ended up having me be the last cut for the pitchers, and it was kind of fun, And I don't know. It was one of those things where I knew I wasn't going to make the team. He actually even told me after I got sent down. He says, Kip, go take about a week off. No kidding. The organization actually had to call me. I was in California at my house. They had to call me and said, "Are you coming to Vegas?" I said, "When do you want me there?" They said, "Tomorrow." I said, "I'll be there tomorrow then." So I was at the end of my career. I didn't really care. I just played the last 3 years to play golf. So one of those things.
Yeah, that would be now to the next question. Did you know when in there that your career was done and over with? Did you know, or did you
Well,
still?
I wasn't good my last. Here's what happened when I signed. Hold on here.
You're good.
I'm going to tell her 5 minutes.
You're good.
Okay. All right. Here we go. I'm back. Okay. So anyway, I don't even know where I was going with this now.
I asked you about. Did you know when it was over? Or did you?
My last 3. People don't know, but when I was playing with Boston early in the season, I got a line drive back hit back at me, and it broke my little pinky finger, my throwing, and it broke it in 2 places. And that's how I revitalized my career, was by learning how to throw a circle change off those 2 fingers. And as soon as that happened, I knew my career was going to be finished. I knew right then and there. I ended up pitching for another 2.5 years, but I wasn't good anymore because I couldn't do it what I was doing before. And so those last 3 years I was just hanging on, play golf on the road, basically is what I was doing. And but I did get to help out a bunch of kids. I really did, that were coming up. And I'd tell them how to pitch and teach. I was about a second pitching coach is what I was on my last 3 teams.
Not bad. Hey, at least you helped out. That's the main thing. So you help get your knowledge in, help them out. And if they didn't take it, like you said, oh well.
Yep, exactly. Okay.
Now you pitched overseas, like you said. Can you compare the difference between here and over here? Is it the same? How is it?
Fundamentals. Japan, man, the fundamentals are off the charts. Here, they're getting away from them completely. The fundamentals here, that's one of the problems with baseball now. All these kids now are coming up with travel ball, and all they're trying to do is win. They're not teaching them the game. They're just taking the best athletes and throwing them out there and say, win for me. I want to win that $5 ring. And so the fundamentals, they get higher and higher. Same with high school. They're not teaching them anything because they just want to win. And next thing you know, they get drafted. They're still doing the same things. The coaching has completely disappeared in baseball, is what I'm trying to get at. And so the fundamentals, my first year in Japan, I believe there was 2 errors behind me the whole season. Mm-hmm. And neither one of them should have been an error. They gave me errors. In other words, my first season in Japan didn't have an error behind me, not one error. And I got there probably for the last 4 months, but at the same time, I didn't have an error behind me. That's fundamentals. Those guys, they catch the ball and they throw the ball really well over there. And I was telling other coaches and stuff back here when I was in Japan, I said, why aren't you guys over here grabbing these guys? I mean, you got a ton of left-handed pitchers over here with good arms. You got hitters over here. Next thing you know, you got Nomo going over. How many pitchers have come over since then, since I've been over there? Look at all your hitters and pitchers that have come over here now. Man, it's wow. They're making a difference. And it was there before. They didn't go over there because they thought it was a 4A team instead of a big league team. No, there's great players on those teams over there, all over the place.
Now, why do you think that is? Why do you think there's such a different drop off between the coaches? Because, like you said, you were over there.
Because they don't have coaching here anymore. I was just telling them on my last podcast.
That's what I was just trying to ask you. Yeah, like, why do you think that is? When you said because you just admitted, like, when you were over there, they actually teach it. Like, they take it more seriously than what it is over here.
I'm going to just tell you something here real quick. It's really crazy. Second base, when a runner's at second base in Japan, you're not necessarily in scoring position in Japan. Mm-hmm. The reason is because those outfielders every day, they work on getting a ground ball or a fly ball and throwing it home plate. Every day they work at it. Ichiro Suzuki, how many times they run on him to go to home plate? Never. Because once he come up throwing, he'd throw a strike.
Right.
Just turn on a big league game. Every time they play at a home plate, it's 10 yards up the line or 10 yards that way or somewhere. It's not even close.
Right.
And these guys score, no problem. And that's the thing over there. They work at it constantly. Everything they work on constantly. Fundamentals are great. They work at it and they keep after it.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right because I didn't notice that until you just said it. Like I was wondering why that is. Like why there's so many errors thrown to home. I mean, it's all over
bad.
the place. Now I know it's horrible.
Yeah, it's bad.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It is ridiculous. So I gotta ask you as well. You said you came up, you started with the Mets in '86. That was when they went to, I believe it was the World Series.
Won the '86 World Series.
Right, against the Red Sox. Take us through that, because that's the whole thing with Buckner, unfortunately. Tell us about that whole thing, because I don't know if you were a part of that or.
No, I wasn't. I was just getting started in A-ball when I was over there. But the whole thing with that was they just had a great team. They had a really, really great team. The whole team was just good. The pitching staff, my God, if they didn't go out and have so much fun, who knows how many years that would have lasted over there. But there was just things going on with the drugs and different things like that, and partying all night long. And the whole thing with Buckner doing that. What was his name? The pitcher. Anyway, he wasn't covering first base anyway. It made no difference.
Right, he wasn't. Yes, I know.
He
wasn't.
At a time. It made no difference. Mookie Wilson was still going to get to first base regardless.
Like you said, fundamentals. Where was it?
Yeah, fundamentals. Here, quick story about covering first base. When I was in Japan, I was pitching at Ichiro one day. I faced him all the time. So we only had 6 teams in my league. So you played 5 other teams. You faced all these teams a lot.
Right.
And so one time early in the one season, Ichiro hits a ball to first base. He beats me to first base. Safe. It wasn't that I didn't get over there. I just didn't bust my ass right away, because I'm used to other runners, whatever. Right. Every time I threw the pitch to him the rest of my time over there, every time I threw another pitch to him the rest of the time, I'd throw it and I'd start running to first base every time. I said, he's never going to beat me to first base again. So, yeah.
I mean, you're right, though, looking back at that in the highlights. Unfortunately, I could only watch highlights. But, yeah, like you said, it's just fundamentals, man. And if you don't have it or you don't do it, then, Stanley. It is what – I mean –
Bob Stanley. Pitcher.
And to think how much heat Buckner got for that, and he still probably is to this day.
They ruined him in Boston. He didn't want to come back. They finally, a couple of years ago, honored him to come back.
Right.
But it took a long time because people would have burned his car down, his house down at that time.
I know, it's crazy. It's brutal. So now, since you pitched in the majors and you also pitched over, like you said, in Japan, with numerous amount of players and hitters, who I got to ask you on stats. I know you kept up with it. Who hit you the best and who hit you the worst?
Well, in Japan, Ichiro probably hit over 500 against me, but probably at least half of those hits were infield hits. He hit me really, really well. I always pitched to contact. I didn't try to strike guys out. And so I pitched to contact, and he was really good hands, whatever. So he had a lot. I just got asked this question today when I was signing baseball cards in the mail. So a couple kids asked me the same question: who was your toughest out? It was the smaller guys that got me all the time. A guy like Biff Roberts, just guys that he threw fastballs to, and it probably should have been throwing breaking balls instead because they were little hitters, and they hit me well. The bigger guys weren't the biggest problem. Yeah, I gave up home runs to Strawberry and Bonds and some of the bigger guys, but everybody does sooner or later. I mean, how many Bonds hit? 800 something home runs or something like that? I don't know what it was.
Something like that, yeah. 700 something. Yeah.
So there you go.
Now, obviously, ballparks were different compared to what they are now. Did you like pitching in the NFL style ballparks? Because there's none of that nowadays, obviously. Did you like pitching in them compared to regular ballparks?
It made no difference where I pitched. As long as the other team is playing in the same field I'm playing in, I didn't care. Because I know we're both got to go through the same thing. I had no problem with it. I always wanted to play for Colorado. I ended my career in AAA with the Rockies. I never got called up, but I would have had no problem pitching in Colorado because you both have to do it. It's, your ERA is going to be higher. No question it's going to be higher. I didn't care about ERA. I cared about winning.
Right.
And so I would have been a perfect pitcher for Colorado because I give up 8 runs a game. As long as we score 9, I'm happy.
Right.
Didn't care. I just wanted to win the game. That's all I ever wanted to do. So ballparks didn't matter to me.
And I agree. That's why a lot of pitchers don't like hitting in Colorado. Is that mile high and like why do you think a lot of pitchers have trouble with that though? You obviously said you wouldn't. Why is that?
Because you're lighter air, the ball doesn't move like it's supposed to. That's why for Hideo Nomo to throw a no-hitter in Colorado was ridiculously unbelievable. Because
I remember that. Yep.
he threw the fork ball, but he pitched north and south, and so at least he was taking off like a changeup. And that's why pitchers today, first thing they should learn is a changeup. Everybody should learn a changeup or a good off-speed pitch because that's what keeps the hitters from going north and south, in and out, instead of And now all it is just throw it hard as I can, and we'll see you next year when I'm getting off the operation table.
Yeah, I agree, but I couldn't imagine throwing with what they do with those balls, especially what I've heard in the humidor or whatever they do with those. I couldn't imagine.
Humidor now.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine throwing one of those. You think those got to be more heavier than a regular ball?
No, they're not heavier at all. All they do is they take the resistance away from, or they add the resistance back to the ball. So now it's going to do something. It's all the same.
Oh, I thought it was heavier. Okay.
They're just there's more moisture in them, so now they're not going to be so light and not do anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, the weight is a little bit. Everybody uses the humidor now.
Cool. That's awesome. I never knew that. Like I said, I always thought like the ball, because they did that to the ball, it got heavier. That's awesome. Yeah. Now, now transition in here. I got to ask you, obviously you see a transition in managers being catchers and pitchers. Why do you think they have the most success, both positions wise, as managers compared to any other position?
You mean most successful managers are catchers,
right? But pitchers, I've seen pitchers as well be successful managers too.
Because you're in every pitch. You're part of the game in every pitch, and so you know what's going on every pitch. I've coached and managed numerous teams, and the one thing you got to do as a manager is you got to scan the field between every pitch, because you got to make sure everybody's in position where they're supposed to be, and one of the things when I was coaching high school baseball, actually even before then, I'd hear players say something to the dugout or something happened on the field, and I'd come over to the dugout real quick and I'd say, "Hey, did you see that right there?" And they're like, "What?" I said, "That guy did this or that." And then I'd say to him, I go, "You know how I know?" And they'd look at me like, "How do you know?" And I said, "Because I watched the game. I watched the game." Instead of being in the dugout, talking to somebody. Yeah, you can talk to somebody, have some sunflower seeds or whatever, but when the game's going, watch the game. And you'll learn so much by watching that game.
Couldn't agree with you more. So now I got to ask you about we got into it earlier before we got on air. What'd you think of David Fry as a teammate who I had on my podcast?
Jeff Fry? He was a good
Jeff Fry. Sorry, Jeff Fry. Yeah, my bad. Teammate.
Unfortunately, we were in Boston at the time, and Dan Duquette was the general manager, and Dan Duquette was not a good person for being a general manager. He lied. He did all kinds of stuff that weren't right. I should have been on the DL a lot longer than I was. I still had a broken finger, and he takes me off the DL and sends me out. Jeff Fry was healthy to play, and he wouldn't take him off because there wasn't a roster spot for him. That's illegal. Right. You can't do that. He did all kinds of stuff like that in Boston, and he was known for it. And
to think that guy was still on Major League Baseball Network.
Probably so.
I mean, they had him on the network all this time, to think, and I never knew that about him, that he was that crooked.
Yeah, he was. I didn't like it there at all. The only team I never liked playing for was the Boston Red Sox.
Now, did you see that? Besides your experience with that in the Red Sox, did you see other general managers like what he did?
No, that's why I couldn't believe it. When I was getting ready to sign over there, I had several people come to me and say, "Kip, it's not good over there in Boston. It's just not good over there." I'm like, "Come on, guys, it's the big leagues. They can't do these things you're saying." Sure as hell, get over there. There it was. That's what they did. Yeah. The team doctor was part owner of the team. So right to the beginning, it's not right what's going on over there. But yeah. Anyway, I got to wrap this up.
No problem. I had a blast, and I hope you did too.
I did too.
I got your number. I'll stay in touch with you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So before you go, though, I ask everybody this: with the playoffs coming, World Series, who do you see? Because, like you said, it's pitching. So who do you see winning it?
Every year, I think the Astros, just because they consistently get in the playoffs and they're going to do really well. I'm going to tell you right now, and I think I'm going to go completely where I was at the beginning of the season. And it doesn't look like it right now, but you still got another 45 games a season plus playoffs. I still think you're going to have the Yankees playing the Dodgers in the World Series.
I hate to say that. Trust me, I hate to see that happen because I want to see my Padres in it. But I hate to agree with you. I think that's what's going to happen as well. So
I don't know about the Dodgers because they didn't go get any arms during the break. So I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, real quick before you go, my historian has another question. He's like, he asked his 15-year-old travel baller to take a 3-0 pitch with bases loaded and 2 outs, and he swung and flied out to center field.
Why is he swinging with 3-0 count?
Yeah, he's like, he wants to know, did you miss the sign or did you go against him? How would you handle that? He wants to know, how would you handle that?
I would have a little clubhouse meeting after the game or take him aside and say, hey, you can be the greatest athlete you want to be in this game, but when a manager puts down a sign, you've got to follow that sign. That's the way it is because other people are counting on you to do the same thing. You know, you got runners on and they're asking you to take a pitch. Take the pitch. That's all he's asking you to do. 3-0 count. Man, you got to be a really, really good hitter to keep the swing on for a 3-0 hitter. You got to be really, fantastic.
And this was his answer. The kids answered him. He ignored my sign. He liked the pitch, I guess. That's what he told him.
No, that's when you put him on the bench and say, okay, you know the best way to teach a kid? Throw his ass on the bench. He'll learn real quick.
Which I'm sure you've done.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to put him on the bench and say, hey, this is where you're going to learn over here. And
now, for sure, this is the final one before I let you go. Do you have any plans still, at least coaching? And if you do you plan on doing it elsewhere?
None, because they don't let you coach anymore. It's what they want to tell you to coach, and there's no reason. That's why they're hiring all these nerds out there because they're numbers guys, but they're not pitching coaches. They're not telling or teaching anything about the game. They're just going with what these computers tell them to do and what the calculator says to do. Other than that, I don't want to be a part of that. If I want to be a coach, I want to be able to do my thing and teach what I know. And if I can't do that, I don't want to be a part of it.
I couldn't agree with you more. I agree with you. So I do appreciate your time. It was awesome. I definitely like to have you on again sometime in the future. Talk some more stories because, like you said, you're full of them. So
stories, man.
Definitely, I'd like to hear more. I got your number. I'll text you here and there as well. You can tell me more too before we go.
Cool.
But before you go, do you want to promote your podcast? Hell, I'll even listen to it.
It's on Tuesday. Mark Mancini and I do it. We just started a new program. I'm not even sure what the program is called right now because we're so new with it, and we're getting it to get bigger and better. We're going to go video here soon too, so it's coming.
Definitely, I'll tune in myself. I appreciate. I'll definitely have you on again. I'll text you. And heck, if you know anybody else, definitely I'll text you. Please send them my way. I'm always looking for more guests.
Okay, cool. All right, man. You guys have a great one out there.
And heck, I'll even get Jeff, and maybe we'll do a 3-way on here. So I'll get Jeff on.
Perfect.
So, all right. You have a good night and take care. All right, buddy?
You too. Outstanding.
All right. Night. Kip Gross, everybody, former Major League pitcher for numerous amount of teams. Boston, as you heard him, started with the Mets and A-ball, went to the World Series, knew about that team, A-ball. So, yeah, kudos. And thank you, my baseball almanac. I appreciate you every time. You're my number one fan. I appreciate it. Spread the show as much as you can throughout, please. I appreciate it. More money, the better. I'm trying to grow this podcast to have money. So please share it as much as you can. I'd appreciate it. Thank you again. Thank you again, my loyal fan. You are awesome. Please keep tuning in every show I have. And I know you even tune in to when I don't have any baseball guests on too. So please keep your tuning in. I appreciate it. You're awesome. But yeah, this concludes with Kip Gross. I appreciate his time and effort. It was awesome. Thank you to my loyal fan out there for joining in as well. It was fun. He enjoyed it. And I hope he answered all your questions. So yeah, it was a great time. And you all have a good night. Take care.